So what happened in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas, but it also didn't result in charges being filed against Tiffany Henyard's only ally left on the Dolton board. Let's get into it. Andrew Holmes was deemed to not have sexually assaulted one of the members on the trip. Let's get into it. Here we go.
WGN Investigates has learned the investigation into an allegation of sexual assault against a Dolton Village trustee has been closed.
The village employee told police that she suspected Andrew Holmes may have engaged in unwanted sexual conduct with her after she passed out in his hotel room during a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas in 2023. She has filed a lawsuit claiming Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard fired her after she reported the alleged incident. Las Vegas police now tell WGN News their investigation is closed. No charges filed. The accuser did not respond to a request for comment. Andrew Holmes will only say that his work as a trustee in Dolton and community activist in Chicago will continue.
Nothing to see here. No, it's no laughing matter because the young lady, whether or not there were enough charges to be filed against Dolton trustee Andrew Holmes, whether or not there were enough charges to be filed, they left Vegas, they came home. That's when the young lady, I don't know how old she is, younger than me anyway, that makes her young. That's when she reported the incident. I mean, so it wasn't when they were in Vegas. And let's read the story. Las Vegas police say they have closed their investigation into an allegation of sexual assault against Uncle Drew. No charges have been filed. It follows a bombshell accusation and lawsuit by a former aide to Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who accused Holmes of sexual assault while on a taxpayer-funded trip to Las Vegas, May of 2023. Holmes is a village trustee in southern suburban Dolton and a close ally of Henyard. He is the only ally left. The accuser, Fenia Dukes, released a videotape statement to WGN and other media outlets a year later, weeks after filing a report with South Holland, Illinois police. So a lot of this happened kind of, well after the fact and after they got back to Vegas. And, without Vegas police kind of being the ones Johnny on the spot, hotel room, that gets cleaned up, all the evidence gone, well, whatever. Days goes by, there's no physical evidence. It becomes kind of a he said, she said. Dukes credited a Dolton police officer. Okay, so you got a Dolton police officer who's part of Henyard's security detail, right? Because we know that she travels or has traveled with like 4 cops on all these trips. It's like, well, who's after you that you need that much security? So who was on a trip, the police officer was on a trip to provide security for Henyard with helping her realize. So this cop helped her realize she may have been assaulted after a night of drinking. Okay. So then you got the booze in there. All bets are off, right? All bets are off. And that's when it becomes kind of down to the he said, she said, and who can remember things the best and any proof. So the cops came up with, hey, there's nothing to prove what she's saying. We're not saying it didn't happen, but we just can't prove it. Duke said the officer told her Holmes had called and FaceTimed the officer to brag. So Uncle Drew gets on the phone and he calls the cop in another hotel room in the same complex, is my understanding. And then later he turns it from a phone call into a FaceTime to brag to the officer. So Uncle Drew is in the hotel room with the young lady. She is in various stages of undress while he is FaceTiming this Dolton police officer. That whole thing to me, whether that wasn't some type of, it's clearly not a crime because he wasn't charged with any crime, but that's creepy. Hey, got this passed out woman on my bed. Yeah, well, let's FaceTime her to a cop. Really? Trustee Holmes then panned the camera towards a bed where Officer Miles could see a woman. Miss Dukes, who was partially undressed, the lawsuit states. This is the lawsuit from her perspective, right? The trustee then moved the camera to various private areas of Miss Dukes' body, displaying them on screen and at times moving or removing articles of clothing. Okay. All right. So police have deemed any of that and accusations of having sex with her when she was just wildly passed out or whatever, those didn't come to fruition. But any which way you look at this, this is creepy. This is creepy activity. Creepy activity, right? I mean, you want to get your freak on? You want to have your freak off in Vegas, Diddy style? Okay, that's your call. Leave out the illegal activities. All that baby oil and lube. Yeah, the 784 dildos. Okay, all right, that's your freak off thing. But don't FaceTime a cop and go, hey, look what I got in bed. Look what I got in my hotel bed. It's great. It's great. Because the optics look horrible. The optics look horrible. So if you've had an intimate moment with somebody, maybe don't FaceTime about it. I don't know. That was my thought. That was my thought, because no matter what happened to this young lady, to Miss Dukes, the optics of this they're not good. Do you want a guy in your city council who FaceTimes a chick who's passed out, and let me get a little bit better look at on this young lady, I mean, is that who you want making decisions for your village? I don't think so. I don't think so. Dukes did not respond to a request for comment about the investigation being closed without charges. Wow, she's pissed. She's pissed. I mean, they weren't able to substantiate what she's saying to the point where they could, press charges. Holmes said his work as a Chicago community activist and trustee in Dolton will continue, but declined to comment further. In other words, he's not stepping down. He's not going anywhere. He's not stepping down. Dukes' accusation rocked Dolton, where Mayor Henyard's spending and leadership have been widely criticized. The FBI served subpoenas on both municipalities Henyard runs as part of a wide-ranging and ongoing investigation. Dukes' lawsuit accused Henyard of improperly firing her after she and Officer Miles went to the mayor the day after the trip to report the assault allegation. Okay. So that's where I think this kind of went sideways, is that they waited a while, they talked about it, they waited a while, and then the Las Vegas police are like, all right, this is Las Vegas. People come here, they do weird stuff, they make decisions they don't typically make at home. And I think that's what happened. And I think whether or not Uncle Drew, illegally took her to Pound Town, we'll never know. That's between the two of them. I mean, unless the lawsuit continues and something comes of that. But without being charged, without Andrew Holmes being charged, it doesn't look good for the lawsuit. You're going to have to convince, judge, you're going to have to convince a jury, whatever it might be, that something happened there, that the police have said, well, we didn't have enough to charge him with it. So Duke's lawsuit claims Henyard said she'd be ruined if the allegation became public and vowed to take care of it. She's the mayor. She is not the law. And that's where this story gets so embroiled, right? Is the fact that Tiffany Henyard, this isn't going to look good on my watch. And it didn't. And it still doesn't, because the circumstances in this case are such where we've got a couple of credible people saying, hey, look at what Uncle Drew did. It's not good. And maybe it doesn't fit the threshold of committing a crime, but it's creepy, right? I mean, you FaceTime somebody who's passed out in bed without their clothes on. I'm a hard no-go on that, right? I mean, that is literally P. Diddy stuff, right? The P. Diddy case, if you're not familiar with that, Sean Puffy Combs, he's got some issues. Yeah, he's got some issues. He basically had these huge parties. He had these freak-offs, and he videotaped all kinds of Hollywood executives, Hollywood actors, actresses, rap stars, people in the music industry. He had these crazy parties and he videotaped it. And he basically blackmailed them to control, how things go. He had a whole bunch of kids involved. I mean, you've got some real pedophilia involved in there, allegedly, right? It's always allegedly because you just never know what the hardcore reality is. But multiple lawsuits with Sean Puffy Combs. And that's going to be a really interesting one because I think he can take down so many of the people that are at the upper echelons of Hollywood, and not only Hollywood, but, sports celebrities, any kind of, higher end. And, does he get suicided? That is a real question. Does somehow the cameras all go off and P. Diddy killed himself, Jeffrey Epstein style? I don't know. So end of the saga on this news story. But what you are left with just that bad feeling in your mouth. You're like, I still don't like the way this went down. I don't like how it's handled at the end here. It's one of those deals where, you joke when your friends go to Vegas. Hey, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Because weird stuff goes on, and weird stuff went on here, guaranteed. No matter what, weird stuff went on. Maybe not enough to charge Uncle Drew with, but to me, the optics are such where it's like anybody associated with the super mayor, with Tiffany Henyard, always seems to be tainted. That's just my perspective. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.